close to ready yet.
What else could you possibly do?
Can this get better? Maybe something else.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, here's the leaf.
Okay.
Here's the adhesive.
Okay.
There's your project. Carry on, McDuff.
And action.
We forgot the clapper.
We forgot the clapper. Are you ready now?
I'm as close to ready as I'm gonna get.
Okay, you're ready as you're gonna get.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We had some fun with metal leaf, Mona Lisa metal leaf.
Dimensional leafing this time.
Yes, dimensional leafing. So this was something I thought would be cool in my work, would be to add like a textured gold area, because I've been adding the flat gold segments to my funky florals. So I am going to show you how I would apply that technique to my artwork, which people are always asking me, can you show me how you would use this in your artwork? And typically my answer to that is no. But today I decided to do it.
Well, and so the other option is, if you don't want to gild or foil leaf, that's the better word because this is leaf. If you don't want to foil the entire background, which certainly this obviously has its use, but if you want to do something a little bit different, you can just foil the top. Now, if I hold this up, maybe you'll be able to see, but you'll see it in the video. There is texture on here because this is molding paste. Unlike Tacky Wind Dry Gel Medium, which we use a lot and we love.
Oh yeah.
This is textured on the top, and you get texture that you actually see right through the leaf because that metal is pounded, whatever they do to make it so thin, that you get all that interesting texture. And you don't necessarily, if you want to not have the background gilded, which is what Elizabeth did, then you have some other options for playing too. Now, the thing that we need to remember to say is that metal leaf.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna let you say it.
This metal leaf product needs to be sealed, and Mona Lisa makes a proprietary sealer that you want to put over the top of it because it does tarnish and it does react with other art supplies. So yes. I found out the hard way by putting a different layer of something on top of it that it tarnished the leaf. So you want to use the Mona Lisa metal leaf sealer to keep it from tarnishing and to keep it from interacting with other products. And then I just wanted to show the difference here in that Barb wanted to leave her spaces in between the background color, which I love that effect as well. And then I wanted to add the metallic to the whole area, and my idea on that was actually from the packaging when they show the different ways you can add the leafing to a gold frame, and so the highs and lows, the whole pattern. So that was my thought process. So anyway,
want to go play a little bit?
Yeah, let's go figure it out. Show them how to do it.
All right. My take on dimensional leafing was to use molding paste, but to just leaf the very top of the elements. Now, this is never going to be perfect, and I'm okay with that. The reason that I like the molding paste versus just using something like Tacky Wind Dry Gel Medium is because of the texture. And as Elizabeth zooms in, you can really see the texture on this surface. And if you want texture, then this is certainly a way to achieve that. You can be as smooth when you pretend this is a palette knife and you're kind of spreading this through the stencil. And this is Elizabeth's, that's part of her, I think it's the Patterns for Layering 2. It's named, we should have named it Giraffe, but it's really named Honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
Yep, there it is. So all you do is you spread this through. Now you can take the time to use an old credit card or something and really smooth that out, or you can kind of let it get freeform and you can really accentuate the whole idea of the texture. And that's really where I went. So I came back with a mini ink blending tool, stepping to one side, and a foam. And I used again, it's not where I need it. I used the Decofoil adhesive because it's thin enough to pick up with this, tap, 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 so that I mostly kept the adhesive on top of the elements. I wanted the black to show through. And now you get the color of the background coming through against all that metal leaf. So I used, this is the composition leaf. This one happens to be copper. And I just came back and I put the leaf on top. The adhesive holds it in place, and then I brushed, this is Dina Wakley's, this is her 1.5 inch wide brush. I just came in here and used it, and you can see that there's little bits left on there to kind of get the excess leaf out from between the honeycomb elements. And that's it. Bob's your uncle, and it's done.
Beautiful.
just another option because we always like to have plenty of them when we're creating.
So many options. This is one of my older stencil designs. Barb just informed me. Oldie but goodie. This one is called Railroad Stacks. And I have applied molding paste with the palette knife onto a 6x6 piece of cardstock. So I'm not going to make you watch me do that, but basically you just lay the stencil down, and you take the palette knife and you spread the molding paste through like butter. You lift it up, and then you have a raised pattern of molding paste. So my idea was that I wanted to gild the whole area. So instead of using like a tacky gel medium to create this pattern where only the surface of the pattern would be tacky, I wanted to use molding paste so that I can then apply the extra thick Mona Lisa metal leaf adhesive to the whole thing. So then when I apply the leaf, it gets on the raised areas as well as the low areas. So that's why I'm using molding paste to create the pattern, and then adding the adhesive to the whole thing. So this is the extra thick adhesive. I like this for this particular application because I feel like it'll settle down into the low areas, but it'll also still stay on the top of the texture. So you're just going to spread a thin layer, making sure you get really good coverage in all the spaces and all the surfaces. And then you let this dry to a tacky clear state. So it goes on looking a little bit opaque white, but you'll just let it dry to the point where it's clear, and when you touch it with your finger, it's very, very sticky and not feeling wet. So that's important. It has to be dry and sticky. If you let it dry too long, it can go past the tacky stage where it's not all that sticky anymore. So it's not like it's a tiny window, but you do need to pay attention to it. So, and if you do get past the stage of tacky anymore, you can just add more adhesive on top, but why waste the product, right, Barb?
And why waste your time?
Right, exactly. Okay, so there's that. That's how I would apply it. And then you also want to make sure you clean your brush really well, because it's very sticky and it's all over the place, but we'll leave that for later. So slide this out of the way. So how I would use this in my art. So a lot of times people ask us or ask me about these techniques and how would I use it in my art. So this is an underpainting for one of my funky florals. This is a new online class that I have coming, which is super cool. And I have stenciled. So funky florals is about the background having like multiple sections of pattern and texture. So I have stenciled directly onto the board here. It's my intention to collage, I think, into these other sections. And then down here, I have applied that molding paste and the adhesive in the exact same way that I just showed you. And I went around with a Q-tip and cleared off the molding paste in the area that I didn't want it. You could also mask it with painter's tape or both. And then so you can see that it's clear. And when I touch my finger to it, I have a very tacky sensation, but not a wet sensation, and it's all clear. So I'm using Mona Lisa Simple Leaf, which is metallic leaf that comes on a transfer paper. So it's like a wax paper that it's attached to. So I'm gonna, it just makes it a little bit easier to manage and handle. For me, it's a personal preference. They also make, of course, the flake and the loose leaf. So whatever you like for your process. So I'm gonna put the shiny side into the adhesive. So I'm just going to line it up over here, and I press it with my fingers, but I also like to use the front of my fingernails to burnish it down. You could also use a Baron or a spoon. And the nice thing about this is if you miss any spots and it's still tacky, you just rotate the sheet around and apply more. So there we've got good coverage there, and I'm going to flip it around. I can make sure I use everything on this sheet this way too. It's less waste, which is nice. So you can, you have to get the excess off. Obviously we've got some extra. I forgot to grab that brush. So I bought this gilding brush. It's a super soft bristles. It's not, it's not necessary. If you've got a brush with really soft bristles, you can use that. This is the very soft bristles. The idea behind that is not to scratch the the simple leaf, because I have rubbed it with my hands before and scratched it. So use a soft brush of some sort and resist the temptation to rub your hand across it, because this being such a flat gold with no, you know, pattern or anything else in it, the scratches, they show up real obvious because it's just a solid flat surface. So there you go. We got a little excess up here. My adhesive went up there, but I am going to collage this section, so that's okay. So there you go. So I've got this great tabletop that is got the pattern on it, and the whole thing is gilded, basically in the same way that you would add gold gilding to like a frame. So I really like that because it's giving me that whole pattern, and everything is got this simple leaf on it, and it's super shiny, and who doesn't like that? All right, so the cool thing about the metal leaf is it comes in silver, copper, and gold. So there's lots of options for your sparkly fix.
And can there ever be too much leaf? I mean, you know, you did your background because that was the look that you were aiming for, and I didn't, because I wanted to try something a little bit different. So you can go for the gold and really use a lot, or go for the gusto and use a lot, or you can, you know, taper that back and use a little bit, depending on what your particular aim is with that piece that you're working on.
Absolutely, yeah, and there's just a lot of options, and it's fun. It's fun to experiment with. And I also have to say that as much as there are many metallic paints on the market that are quite shiny and metallic, there's really nothing that is as metallic as metal. Yeah, so this is definitely the shiniest of all shiny metallics.
Yeah. So we hope you have fun with it, because we sure did.
So, all right, well, we'll see you back here next week.
All right, bye.
Bye.